Hey guys, I'm Jackie Brubaker, host of the Love You Even More podcast. I'm an author, marriage and family therapist in training, performer, and 2-time Emmy Award winner. Each week, I bring on people from all walks of life to talk to them about their inspiring stories in the fields of self-development, relationships, business, and how you can love yourself even more. For more about me and the podcast, visit us at loveyouevenmore.com. Welcome, Kristen, to the Love You Even More podcast. Kristen Shea is the Oracle of Visibility, a multidimensional channel, quantum healer, content creator, and former publicist who helps mission-led souls break free from fear, activate their purpose, and rise into unapologetic visibility. Her work bridges the inner and outer worlds, identity plus healing plus purpose plus magnetic visibility. No one merges deep energetic transformation with high-level brand strategy, storytelling, and soul-aligned expansion the way she does. Her mission: help you break free from fear, own your voice, embody your purpose, and become impossible to ignore. Welcome, Kristen.
Hi, Jacqueline. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for being here. I'm really excited for our episode today.
Me too.
You're so my people. The topic is so great. Yeah. I just can't wait to get to know you more.
Well, thank you. And same. I'm really looking forward to a good conversation.
I really do love that, because I actually said that to a narcissistic partner when I was breaking up with him for like the 15th time. I was like, I wonder if when we break up and go our separate ways, if our lives will get better because we're apart, or if they'll get worse because we're apart. Because clearly he did not want to let go. And things got a lot better. So
it always does. It always does. I feel like that narcissistic path is so uncomfortable, but I also feel like it's a important marker in our lives. And it's like really brings to surface all the wounds that we have in order to heal, to kind of have that forward path be the better path.
Absolutely. So when did you kind of know that this was a thing, that your purpose suddenly here it is because of narcissistic abuse?
You know, for me, I felt like the journey to my purpose was super confusing. I never felt I had clarity on it. And now, of course, looking back in 2020 hindsight, it's always been right in my face, what it was. But it's like that fear and all of the things that it would require was so big that it felt impossible, right?
Can you explain a little bit more of what that means? Because you're so many things. I love that you're a medium. Love that so much. And I love that you've also had this publicist career. And so it's you've been working with people to get their visibility, but also I would imagine through a very spiritual lens and downloaded. So please talk about all of that.
Yeah, I actually think visibility is the most spiritual journey that you can be on. And to me, true authentic visibility is soul level liberation, because the fear of being seen is the fear to be who you are. It's the fear that who you are or something about you isn't good enough, or you can't express yourself. And I think, most of the world and the collective is living through that lens. But then again, those who experience that narcissistic abuse, it's magnified, right? Yeah. Your voice is shut down over and over and over again. And so that was my experience. I grew up with a narcissist in my household as a child. So that's where that pattern started. And it's, of course, a pattern I repeated many, many times with partners. And I just kept attracting it everywhere. And what was interesting about it is that pattern didn't end until I cleared the codependence within myself. But that whole pattern is what kept me so confused on my purpose, right? Because most of us feel like we don't know who we are. Identity is a huge issue, right? Because we become who we have to be to survive, right? Absolutely. So every little thing is shaping us. Even when I work with clients, I'll give them examples. If at 4 years old, you drew a picture and your mom was like, oh, amazing, and puts it on the refrigerator, and then it just kind of is there. And then later that day, you dance and do something funny and you get a huge reaction. your subconscious literally records entertainment is keeps me safe, it gives me connection. My art maybe wasn't the focus. So like so much of who we are is
Mm.
just accidentally shaped. And then
Right.
there's the parts where there's, those traumas and wounds. And if you, especially if you had, a narcissistic personality type within your household, it starts really young. You start silencing your voice. You realize
Mhm.
like different parts of your expression are welcomed or celebrated or shunned and punished. And
Right.
then if you have religious programming, like there's
Oh
so many
gosh.
different things, right?
Right.
That come up in that journey. And so for me, I don't feel like I knew who I was until I was 37 when I like truly walked away from that whole narcissistic situation. And
Mhm.
that's what sent me down this path of discovering what my purpose is, which is to help people overcome the fear of being seen, to get visible, to tap into their spiritual gifts because everybody has them.
Mhm.
But most importantly, to remember who they are before all of this happened, because
Yeah.
that's like the gift of this lifetime.
Yeah.
But it took me walking that actual journey to even know what that was or understand it. But yeah, it's like when I look back, it's so obvious to me what my purpose was, but I could not see it. So I had always had a corporate background.
Mhm.
The identity that I was going for, that I wanted to be seen as successful and I wanted to be seen as somebody who like achieved things and had money and just great life.
Yeah.
But it was all coming out of wounding. Like that was just my ego wanting something to tell me I was worthy, right? And I
Right.
think
The reward.
yes, exactly. And that's kind of like what this world feeds into us.
Mhm.
Um, and so I was a publicist for 5 years. And when I was a publicist, I would notice like I'd be working with these amazing clients who had like incredible things to share, but they were so afraid to be seen. They wanted to keep it really surface level, really basic. And then even when they put their message out there, like it didn't have the results that they wanted, whether it was like more business or whatever it was, because they didn't want to be seen. They
Yeah.
were like hiding.
Yeah.
And so my spiritual gifts were already pretty much online at that time. Like I was always psychic, intuitive. I could always tap in and channel. And I kept getting this message like, you're meant to be seen. You're meant to share these messages. And I was
Mhm.
like, absolutely not. Like, those are the two scariest things.
Right. And the same reason why your clients don't want to be seen as well, not because maybe of the spiritual sense, but more so, again, just it's all about not wanting to be seen because if I'm seen, then what? What does that mean? Who am I?
Exactly. Totally, totally. That's one of the biggest questions. Like whenever I work with somebody is, well, I don't even know who I am. What am I supposed to be saying? Or how do I say it? And it's like we've watered ourselves down so much that we've literally lost our identity,
Hmm.
and the truth of who we are. And so visibility is more, to me, the more important part of it is coming back to who you are, because when you do that, that fear of being visible dissolves. You're always going
Yeah.
to be faced with like a little bit of like that, will I be rejected or will people like what I have to say? Like that's always going to exist.
Hmm.
But you stop allowing that to be the thing that stops you. Like your purpose becomes bigger than your fear. Your expression becomes bigger than your fear.
Right.
And that's like the most powerful point because then when you start playing with your expression, you can actually learn way more about yourself and start to discover, you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
A couple of things came up. I think I can hear people just saying, well, how am I supposed to figure out who I am? I'm, 50 or, I've been living my life forever. I don't know. Like, this is me. How do
Yeah.
people do that?
Yeah, it's a good question. And I actually work with a lot of clients who will come in and they'll be like 50 to 70, even 80 years old. Like,
Wow.
it's actually really cool to see that so many people at that stage of life are getting curious and are willing to explore because it really
Yeah.
is undoing everything you've known about life to really get to know who you are.
Yeah.
And so the first process or the first part of it's a full process. Like I have a 13-step process I bring people through, but the first part isn't about who are you, it's more about who are you not.
Hmm.
So where have you actually been showing up in a way just because that's what people have expected of you, right? And
Hmm.
so one of the questions I'll ask people is, do you think you're lovable? And most people will consciously be like, well, yeah. And I'm like, okay, cool. What makes you lovable? And they'll start to go in and they're like, well, I do a lot of things for people and it's all transactional.
Oh my gosh. Absolutely.
It's like the
Yeah.
codependent part, because even if you haven't been in a narcissistic dynamic, codependence is just what exists in this planet. Like
Absolutely.
we all just want to be loved and connected. And unfortunately, like those codependent patterns are often the way we find that or fulfill that need within ourselves. So it's usually starting with like, who are you not? Where in your life do you feel unsatisfied? Do you have a connection to a bigger picture or a bigger vision of what you want to experience? And so like often when I'm working with clients, they want to start a business, they want to find love. Like there's these bigger visions that they have that they just can't figure out how to get there. And so when you anchor into a bigger vision and you start to look at shedding the parts that are not you and where you're showing up because this is how you've been told to show up, or this is what you've been told to value about yourself or the world. When you start to shed that, that's when you can actually more naturally figure out who you are without having to go down this rabbit hole of like, who am I and how do I do this? Because that's such an overwhelming process.
I also would imagine there's a tremendous amount of ego death that happens during this process.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's nonstop ego death.
I bet, which is terrifying for anyone who has not been through it, or for people who have been through it and they're listening. It is so scary. You feel like you're dying. You really do, because you question everything and you question like, who am I? Like, but yeah, no, it really is terrifying.
It is. It is. And that's why I think it's so hard to approach these things on your own. Because when you don't have either a guide or someone who has been on that path or can walk you through it, you do really just feel like you're navigating in the dark, and it can feel really hopeless. It can feel like this isn't going to be worth it. Whatever I want isn't even possible for me. So why am I going into this like deep, deep work? But the ego deaths are actually fairly quick. Like they're not like, when you agree, even with the ones that you've gone through, it's like way quicker than we think it's going to be.
That is true. That's true.
Yeah. So it's uncomfortable, but I do feel like they're never as long. And as soon as you like come out of it, it's like almost like there's this instantaneous energy switch where you're just like, oh, okay, everything's okay. And so you get kind of used to that process, but it absolutely is. I mean, the way I always look at this is like we have like the human avatar, which is the ego. You have like what I call the matrix identity, which is who you've had to become to survive. And then you have your soul. And so it's like we really do have to kind of kill off the human avatar in order for the soul to come online. But the soul carries your blueprint, everything you're meant to do and meant to experience and meant to have. And it carries the ease that is meant to be possible in this world that we just don't see because we're trapped in like that matrix identity.
And with that matrix identity, I mean, so much of it, or maybe all of it, you tell me, feels like it's just generated by fear too.
Absolutely. It's pure fear. It's all fear. Like everything, even if we go down all the different emotions, like the shame and the guilt and the grief, everything underneath that is going to boil down to a fear. And it usually boils down to like the same fears: fear of not being loved or being alone, the fear of not being provided for, or the scarcity or instability. And then a fear of something or who you are, like there's something wrong with that. That they feel like it's so deeply ingrained. So those are usually like the big 3 fear templates that are key to clearing in the process.
I want to know how you clear it, but I also think that's probably a really big question. This is more specific, but if you would like to answer that, you please do. How do you use your spiritual gifts to help people clear?
Sure.
Is that part of it?
It is, yeah. So the clearing process is essentially like 3 to 4 layers. So there's like the unconscious, which is a layer below the subconscious. So I think a lot of people in the healing journey focus on the subconscious and reprogramming, but it's really the unconscious, which is holding those deeper wounds of the psyche. And you can't just program over those. So that's why like sometimes people will try subconscious reprogramming, and sometimes it'll work because they've done the work. And then other times it won't because they haven't hit those unconscious wounds that are living deep down in the psyche. And so when I clear those with my spiritual gifts, the 2 things I do when a client comes in is the first thing I do is tap into all their timelines that are available to them.
Oh my gosh, I love this conversation so much already.
It's so fun. It's really fun. But to tap in and see like what is available. And I ask them like, what is it that you're wanting to experience? So we can figure out, because you can activate any timeline that you want. Like there's your highest timeline and there's 100 timelines in between that you can activate. So it's like, what do you actually want to experience and what can we feel safe activating today? And so once we know what timeline we're going to activate, Because it's actually funny. A lot of people will come in and be like, yeah, that's my highest timeline, but I'm not ready for that. Like, can we do something? Because it's
Totally.
scary. The fear is there too,
Mm-hmm.
even with the
Mm-hmm.
thing that they want most. But yeah, so we figure out what timeline we're going to activate. And then we tap in, or I tap in to get to those unconscious wounds that are living deep below the surface. And we start with clearing those. So you have to have a conscious awareness. Like you have to have the human avatar has to have something to hold on to actually let this go and realize the pattern.
Okay.
But then I do a channeled energy clearing. So whatever their guides are bringing through for activations and
Mm-hmm.
clearings kind of come through that. So sometimes that comes in first and we'll lift energy. Like if the shame is way too heavy for them to get to, then we'll
Mm-hmm.
clear all the energy that doesn't need to be there so that they can just process like the one thing that they need to look at,
Okay.
which can make it really helpful, especially when, shame's a deep emotion to carry.
Shame is
Um,
hidden in so many things too. I think most people don't even realize they're carrying as much shame as they have, which is
totally.
remarkable, for all
Yeah.
of us.
I think it's buried in everything. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that shame is used as a society template too, to kind of keep people in check and keep people in line of like what you're
Definitely.
supposed to be and what you're not. And so even if somebody hasn't been like actually shamed by a person, it's like the shame of not being who they think they need to be, or the
Right.
shame of, right? Like everything's based on like status and society and
Yeah.
money and like all
Yeah.
of these different things. And so when you don't have that thing, you don't even realize what's being mirrored back to you and you're
Mm-hmm.
internalizing that as shame.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So we clear those three layers, the unconscious, the subconscious, and the conscious, and then we do it through usually the activation and the energetic clearing with what their guides are bringing through, and literally lifting those energetic imprints out of the body, clearing any, like I would call them, I talk about this in a very matrix way,
Mm-hmm.
because it seems to be what makes sense to people, but it's almost like if you have a computer system that is your spiritual technology, we go through and we're
Yeah.
clearing out all the viral programs that just are not part of your soul's blueprint.
Yeah.
We're activating the soul's blueprint so you can start to remember who you are and dissolve and clear some of the fear and like those heavy emotions that are keeping you from that self-discovery. And then from there, there's the integration part, which is usually some form of journal prompts or some form of homework to like actually integrate whatever we did in
Mm-hmm.
the session into
Mm-hmm.
their life. Because that's like probably the most important part. You can clear energy all day, but if
Yeah.
there's not some type of a shift in your day-to-day life, it won't matter.
Absolutely. And it is a habit, right? You're creating a
Mhm.
new neural pathway and all of that. You're trying to become you
Yeah, exactly.
instantly.
Yes,
Um,
yes.
this is so this is so cool. I bet it is amazing to work with you. Do you
Thank-
have like a story of someone? I mean, you can keep it confidential or like names, but like a story or an instance that you just were kind of blown away by, like
Hmm.
something like that.
Yeah, that's a good question. Let me just think. I have a client that I'm working with right now in a one-to-one capacity. And she has been impacted so much by narcissism, and it started in her childhood.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, became something that she did over and over and over again. And
Mm-hmm.
she's experienced amazing things in her life. Like she's super successful. She makes a ton of money, things that she loves to do. She has a family, like all of these things. So for her, one of the things that was really difficult for her to wrap her mind around was like, life is good. Like she
Yeah.
has a lot of these things that people would want. And she's worked hard to achieve that. But when we actually got in, there was a lot of mind control programming that was in there. And that was
Mm.
something that you don't see very often, right? Like that, like actual mind control that is coming in from the matrix to keep people stuck. So it's not only just the internal that's happening to us, like
Oh,
there's actually
wow.
these outside frequencies that are coming in.
So are these from like other people that have controlled her in the past or still are?
Yeah, that's a part of it, but it's also like more more galactic and cosmic than that, where it's literally a darker force that is on the planet. And I don't say this to scare anyone because nobody needs to be scared of literally anything
Mm.
ever really in this lifetime. We are so divinely supported,
Right.
but there are darker frequencies that are on the planet that want to control it. So if you think about it in the
Yeah.
sense of like light versus dark on this
Mm-hmm.
planet,
Mm-hmm.
the light has already kind of won this battle, and we are taking back our power as a humanity, and we're returning to the unconditional love frequency. But in
Mm.
between all of that, which we're also seeing on the world stage right now, is like
Very
this
much.
crumbling of darkness, right?
Right. Right.
So there's definitely like truly a light dark battle that happens. And in that darkness, there's actual frequencies that are sent into the planet to people to keep them stuck so that they don't truly break free from like the matrix.
Right. Gosh, that is so poignant and so true. And
Yeah.
that makes a lot of sense. I think that's very interesting that someone could have such mind control from forces that are just unseen and
Yeah.
not from like family or exes or anything like that, but more so just like planetary.
Yeah.
Do Yeah, sorry. There's just like so much. I'm
Okay.
like, I don't even know what to ask you next. Okay,
Yeah.
you know what? I'm going to shift gears just a tiny bit because I'm
Okay.
interested in how you knew that you had these like gifts from like an early age, I imagine.
Yeah.
Um, how did you start to feel comfortable actually utilizing them
Mm.
professionally? Because for anyone who has gifts, maybe they realize they do, most of us do, but maybe you
Yeah.
don't, right?
Yeah.
And you're just
Totally.
like, oh, this is scary and I don't want to do this. Or maybe you're somewhere in the middle where you're like, oh, I know I have these gifts, but also like ethically, like, how do I work with this?
Yeah.
How did you begin working with it
That's a
professionally?
good question. So I had my gifts my whole life, but one of my greatest gifts is the knowing. And
Mm,
that's the hardest one, right? Because there's no proof of anything. You just really have to trust that inner compass.
yeah.
The other thing that really stopped me before I shared my spiritual gifts is I think we think they're supposed to look a certain way. Like if
Mm,
you're clairaudient, you're going to hear something outside of you. If you see, you're going to see something outside of you. And you absolutely can. But like
hmm.
everyone's gifts are so different. And if it doesn't match what you think it's supposed to look like, it can cause like a lot of doubt for you.
Hmm.
So I always had my gifts, but I wasn't really sharing them. And people in my life knew I was spiritual, but like they didn't know I was like channeling and
Right.
mediumship and all of the different things.
Yeah.
So when I walked away from the narcissist at 37, this is almost exactly 2 years ago,
Hmm.
I had to hit the reset button on my life. So that meant I left my career. I left and went no contact with almost my entire family except for my mom,
Hmm.
and had to like literally restart my life.
Yeah.
And I was at a rock bottom, and I had like $70 in my bank account and living in Beverly Hills, which is not
Whew.
cheap, right? And a ton
Yikes.
of bills that were due because I
Yeah.
left with no backup plan or safety net. Like
Yeah.
I just knew I had to leave before I could create something new. And so after I was kind of in this rock bottom position and I was praying to God for help, I was like, I just walked away from all of this. Like I can't lose everything here, right?
Yeah.
And the answer that I got was share your channeled messages on TikTok. And I was absolutely not. Like, no, I'm not doing
Right. Like
that.
terrifying.
Terrifying, like being seen, sharing my spiritual gifts. I had no validation that my gifts were real because I hadn't shared them. So how else would you know if you weren't
Yeah.
getting validated through
Right.
that?
Right.
And so I fought it and fought it and fought it. But again, I had $70 in my bank account, and that was like the only answer I was getting. So at the end of that day, finally, I was just like, I guess I'll just post a message. Like, there's nothing else for me to lose at this moment. And it took me 5.5 hours to post a video that was less than 2 minutes. Like, it was so painful. But I shared my channeled message on TikTok, and it was interesting because the magic of that was immediately money started flowing to me, like out of nowhere. So all my bills were like almost immediately paid,
Oh, wow.
and not from the TikTok, but
No,
it was like
no.
I had done the thing. And so the energy opened. And so all the jobs I had been trying to get were like the freelance positions, all of these things,
Yeah.
because I had been a publicist. So I was like, oh, I'll just do PR again really quick while I try to figure my life out and what
Hmm.
my purpose is. And so all the energy I had put out there, it was like immediately returned back to me.
Oh my gosh. I
It was
love
really
hearing
cool.
that because it's true. Like, if you aren't in alignment, it is truly like banging on a door that will never ever open, you know? And you're just like, I
Yeah.
don't understand. I'm doing everything I should be. I'm working so hard. I'm just working so hard is like the vibe, right? And
Yeah.
then nothing's happening. But then when you do get a message, and I think, we're all so open to receiving any message. It's just a matter of
Yeah.
being like, okay, let's see what happens.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So that was how I shared my first spiritual gift ever. And so I like made a deal with God that day. Like, if you keep things moving forward and you keep the money coming in so I can figure out like who I am and what my purpose is, I will keep sharing channeled messages.
Mm-hmm.
So I kept showing up and I kept sharing. And then a couple of weeks later, the next message and everything dried up again. There was no money coming in. I was like back in the same position 3 weeks later. And the message I kept getting was, you need to offer personal readings. And I was again like, no, I'm not doing that. I have no idea if this is real. Like, I'm posting into the abyss. It also doesn't make sense. I think I had less than 100 followers. They were probably bots. Like, it wasn't like there was anything there to like do anything with. So I'm like, why would I do that?
Yeah.
But again, everything dried up. I was back in that same position. So I was like, okay, I know the drill. I'll do this thing. I offered personal readings, and I kid you not, within 24 hours, I had over 70 readings booked the following week.
Oh my God.
Yeah, like it was nuts. And
Whoa.
because I didn't think anyone was going to book, I put no boundaries on my calendar. I just like put up a calendar link because I literally
Yeah.
was like, I'll do this, God, if this is what you want me to do, but no one's going to book. No one's following me. Like, there's nothing going to happen here. And
Right.
so my calendar was filled from like 7 a.m. till 10 o'clock at night, just back to back bookings. It
Jeez, that is
was crazy.
wild. Like, if that
Yeah.
isn't an absolute yes answer, I don't know what that is. But
For
oh my
sure.
goodness. So, so you're doing this and you're just what? Now you're like, okay, I am this thing. Like, what
Yeah.
happened?
I was just like, the whole thing was so, again, when I look back in 2020 hindsight, I'm like, everything makes sense, right? The
Yeah.
exact way it happened. But in the moment, I was like, I had a couple of PR clients that I was working with, freelance, and I was deep in a self-discovery journey. Like, I was determined to figure out like, who am I? What is my purpose? I know there's more to this life. I have no idea what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden it was like, okay, I guess I'm like a tarot reader or a channeler or a psychic or whatever. But that
Mm-hmm.
still didn't feel like the thing.
Uh-huh.
But I was like, this is what's in front of me and this is where there's movement. So this is obviously where I'm meant to go toward.
Yeah.
And so then when I started doing the readings the following week, that was when I was like, oh, my gifts are real. Like, there's no way I could know the things that are coming through if this wasn't real.
Right. And you
Right.
finally have people to validate that, oh yeah, you're right. Which is
Exactly.
so much of it. And you said that in the very, very beginning. Like,
Yeah.
you can have these feelings and thoughts, but if there's nothing or no one to validate, like, you're right, that's true.
It's so hard.
It's
It's so
just
hard.
it's just in your head, you know?
Yeah. And then you're like, is this real? And if I try to share this with someone, what if the gifts don't come through in that moment? Or there's so much
Yeah.
doubt that comes up. And so
Yeah.
I think throwing me into it like that was like very purposeful because it smashed all my beliefs that like this might not be real, the guides might not show up or whatever,
Yeah.
because it was back to back all day.
That's amazing.
And so for a period of time I was reading, and then I realized very quickly that like nobody actually knows what to do with readings. Like, they get this information, but they do not know how to integrate it into their life.
Yeah.
Especially if it's like everything is available to you, and a reading is tapping into a timeline and saying like, here's what I see, and here's, what I'm seeing you're going through.
Mm-hmm.
But you still have to choose that timeline and move towards it. And people don't know that. They're just like,
Right.
oh, okay, like love is coming in or money is coming in or like whatever it is that they really wanted to get out of that reading.
Yeah.
And then they have no idea what to do with it. So then I would see them like a month or two later, 3 months later, and they're in the exact same position. And I was just like, okay, you need help integrating like this information. And so that's when I started a coaching program, and I started doing like combining it, because for me, like, if you don't know what to do with that information, like, I'm not interested in tapping into people's futures and all of that stuff. It's like, unless you know what to do with that and this actually helps impact real change, it's not
Right.
fulfilling for me.
Right. Otherwise, it's just comfort. And then it
Yes.
doesn't turn into comfort, because if it doesn't happen, then it creates more
Yeah.
doubt and fear and all of that for them. And then they
Totally.
keep
And then they can
coming.
start to like lose that connection to the divine or not believe in
Yeah.
it, or,
Right.
So I started coaching, and then I'm again going through my own identity process in the background. And so my guides are channeling me to heal me in my process and like figure out who I am, which is how I channeled like the 13-step process that I now do. And so my purpose evolved. And that's what I always tell people is like, your purpose will literally shift as you
So
keep
true.
moving forward. But to think we have like the end result is like, because I was like, this can't be it. I can't just be like this TikTok tarot reader. This can't also be the thing that I'm here for. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I just knew
Yeah.
there was more, right?
Right.
And I'm sure for even you, your purpose has probably evolved so much.
So much. I girl, that's a whole other episode. But anyway, go
Yeah.
on. Yeah, no, it's so interesting because I think, to even tie this back into like narcissistic abuse and
Mm.
finding your purpose, when you're with a narcissist or having narcissistic abuse within a family, etc., you so can't trust yourself, right? Because you
Right.
can't understand if reality is real or not. You're so confused and gaslit,
Mhm.
and your reality truly is just like askewed.
Yeah.
And when you finally get out of it, it does create this huge void of doubt and
Mhm.
who
Yeah.
am I and all of that. But like you're showing in this like beautiful spiritual way, even if there isn't someone on the other side to like validate, oh, you're right, in like a spiritual sense, like, oh, I saw this
Mhm.
thing or I heard this thing or I have this feeling. What the person who's like coming out of narcissistic abuse can do is to start working on just trusting themselves in general. Like
Yeah.
just being like, I'm feeling like I need to do something as small as I just need to take myself out to lunch. The tiniest thing, right? The
Yeah.
tiniest nicety. And
Yeah.
then doing it and then seeing what happens and
Mhm.
just trusting the feeling of like, I need to care for myself or
Yeah.
whatever it is, or just trusting yourself with the people that you meet in the future and knowing like if something feels wrong, if your nervous system's like, oh, hell no, you believe
Right.
it. Yeah. You're
Right.
not like,
Right.
oh, maybe I'm just scared.
Yeah.
Like, no, you are scared. It's true. You're scared
You're
for a
scared.
reason.
Yeah,
Like, run.
totally. It's like your intuition talks to you, and then your logic is like, don't be rude. I don't want to be
Right.
mean. Maybe I'm overreacting. It's like, then you
Yeah.
go through this whole thing of convincing yourself why. And it's like the intuition has been, it's like it already knows, your body knows.
Your body already knows. Yeah. I know personally, I had, narcissism growing up in family. And then also in my 30s, I had two really fun narcissistic relationships almost back to back. I had some time in between, but yeah, the lesson wasn't completely learned the first time.
Yeah.
The universe was like, here you go, one more time. You
One
got
more
this.
time.
You got this. We know you do. And I was like,
Yeah.
yes, I do. So no, I get it. But the biggest thing that I took away from it was just trusting my body because I am just like you. I'm just so intuitive that it's like it was screaming. It was so
Yeah.
clear, but my logic and also just conditioning from previous narcissists was like, no, you're overreacting. Like, you're just scared. Or people around me would be like, you're just scared. I'm like, yeah, I know.
You're like, yes, I am.
Somebody help me. Like, please.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think, when like finally, getting out of a narcissistic relationship and having this beautiful void of who am I? What is
Mm.
my purpose? It's not all supposed to come flooding to you, but it could. I mean,
Yeah.
you never know. Everybody's different. But I think what you're talking about is such a wonderful way of people to actually like learn to just what do I want my life to be about?
Yeah.
Not about other people's expectations, not about the country I live in's expectations
Right.
or looking a certain way or having a certain amount of money, but like, what do I actually want? And could I bet on myself to get
Hmm.
it?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a whole that period, and I love that you called it the beautiful void because that is what it is, but it can be hard to look at it that way because we so badly want to get out of the void, right? We just like
Mhm.
want to move to that next thing, but it is like such a beautiful time to just be like, wow, I have this like really blank canvas.
Yeah.
Why don't I play with it instead of trying to like force what it needs to be, but like try things on and find out like, who am I and what does my body even feel like? Does my body even do I know how to read a yes or a no in my body? Do I even know
Mhm.
if these are my thoughts or someone else's or
Yeah.
just having the space to do that I think is so important and knowing that like your soul is always guiding you to your purpose, always.
Mhm.
Everything's a part of it. Like I even consider I think I stayed in narcissism far too long. I don't think I needed to be there as long as I was.
We all did. You're not alone.
Right?
This is all of us.
Yeah, totally. It's interesting to look back at it because I'm like, oh, I see where I was supposed to exit that timeline and I didn't. I just kept either going back in or finding a new person or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I even look at that as like a super important part of my process and my purpose because if I didn't have that, it would very much impact the coaching that I'm doing or the ability that I have to help people through certain transformations. And I really do feel, and this is not a absolute statement, but I do feel most light workers and healers and like those who are truly intuitive have been impacted by narcissists. I do think that's
Oh,
part of the
for
whole
sure.
dark programming and the mind control and stuff that's going on. I think, to keep people from shining their light, from being themselves and sharing whatever it is that they want to share with the world.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so sad too because like you said, like light workers, people who just have like big hearts,
It hurts.
are the ones that just get forced to be so small because
Yeah.
as other people are their own insecurities and their
Mhm.
fears and their just need to control because they're narcissistic.
Yeah. Yeah. And
And
the
like,
interesting thing is like the narcissist and the codependent
mm,
usually have the same core wounds. They just
mm,
display them very differently.
right, right. And the codependency, you did talk about that, and it is such an integral part in all of this.
Yeah.
Um, whether you're with a narcissist or you're just with a codependent, I mean, it's so closely tied to addiction.
Hmm.
The way that you're enabling and leading, and it's just such a
Yeah.
cycle. But yeah, the codependency thing is a big factor in like getting released from that, along with any kind of narcissistic tie.
Yeah.
And then,
Absolutely.
like you also mentioned, working with you and finding like what timeline do I want to sit on? Like which one do I really want to take? Because the highest one is terrified. I don't want to do that. Oh God.
Yeah.
But like this one's better, like medium, like the three bears or something. Let me pick
I
the
love that
medium.
analogy. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, sometimes it's so funny. Like I'll think about like what do I actually want? Like if I could do anything I want right now, and mind you, I really like a lot of what I do,
Yeah.
but I would so like I always joke about this, but I honestly would just go buy like an old villa in Italy and work on it. And
Ooh, I
that's
love
what I would do. I would just move away
that.
to a
Yeah.
beautiful country and like do that and like be a therapist and just, yeah, like that sounds so amazing because, and I think this is due to healing, of course, like all of my, and while I am still like an actor and a performer, like
Yeah.
it's, it's fun and I love it, but it's also not like driving, like
Yeah.
my purpose is actually, wait, I'm going to share this because I haven't shared this with anyone.
Yeah.
I had this thought the other day. I was like, being a therapist and being a performer are actually similar in the sense that I'm there to help people heal in some way or inspire or get them to think. And so,
Yeah.
whether I'm on stage singing or acting and someone is having their own inner dialogue about what they're feeling because of what's going on in the scene and what I'm bringing out of them,
Yeah.
or I'm in session with them and that's happening because I'm asking certain questions or getting somewhere with them, I'm helping people on both levels. So
Yeah.
I was like so excited to put that together the other day. I'm like, oh my gosh, what a cool way of looking at it because of what you had said earlier too. We do become so performative. And so
Yeah.
many performers are that way very much because of what happened to them growing up.
Of course, yeah. Oh, I think that's so beautiful. That's so cool. It's like such a beautiful gift that you can share, but expressing it in two totally different ways, which is also, I think, really
Right.
good for people to hear who are listening to this podcast, is you can express like these incredibly deep, profound gifts in so many more ways than we think we can.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. It's very limitless. And I think,
Yeah.
if anything, I mean, we're here on this planet to affect other people, hopefully in good ways.
In a good way. Yeah.
But it comes in all kinds of ways and all kinds of callings. So
Yeah, for sure.
anyway, what is one thing that you would really love people to know and to leave us with?
Yeah. Oh, that's such a good question. I just want people to tap back into possibility. I think no matter what you're struggling with in life, sometimes it can feel, especially if you're coming from those narcissistic paradigms, it can feel really hard and really hopeless. And those ego deaths can feel really, really dark. But to know that if you are still here, there's a reason that you are here and you are being walked through something, even if you don't necessarily feel the divine presence, it is there. And that there's
Mm-hmm.
unlimited possibility for what you want to create. And it doesn't have to be as hard as you might think it is. I think, we build these walls up, but if you can tap into hope and possibility and know the divine support is there, there's truly nothing you can't experience in this world that you're wanting to call in. And it is never too late for you. That's so important. It is never too late.
So true.
Yeah.
I really hope people get that because, my gosh, there's so much life to be had, and you can start anything at any age. It really,
Absolutely.
it's just available.
Yeah. And many aren't meant to start it until later on. So you might feel behind, but you're not. So it's never too late.
I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Kristen. Please tell people how they can find you.
Yeah, absolutely. For anybody who wants to connect on all social platforms, it's the Kristen Shea and thekristenshea.com if you want to join the Ascension Lab, which is my community where I walk you through clearing all of these wounds, stepping into your visibility, and then I bring in that publicist side of me to help you actually express it into the real world.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me on. This was such a fun conversation.